So thanks for joining me today, Lauren. I wondered if you'd be able to tell me a little bit about your time at college and what you studied.
Of course, thank you for having me. I started college in 2016 and I studied digital media graphics. So I used this as a stepping stone. So I started my HND there and then continued on to uni, but it was a really good course for that to do.
Brilliant, great. And can you tell me a little bit about why you chose to study at college rather than going to university?
Yeah, of course. So as I said, I was using it as a stepping stone. When I was looking at, like when I was leaving school and looking at universities or colleges, I found that when I was going to interviews and for unis, it wasn't exposing me to everything. It wasn't covering all areas, which I found this college was amazing. They really did show you everything that you could cover, which was really good. I initially picked graphic design, and when I went into the interview, they actually told me that what I was looking at was more digital based. So I'm really glad that they kind of steered me in the right direction. But yeah, that was kind of why I chose it. It was such a good exposure to knowledge and stuff, what you could do in the future.
Brilliant, thanks, Lauren. That's really good to know because it is a nice broad course with lots of different aspects to it.
Yeah.
And what was your experience like at the college?
My experience was very positive. I felt like it was a very good course, and it was I feel like it's a large factor into where I've continued in my career. It definitely, as I just said, exposed you to a lot of different areas and allowed you to either know that you want to go into these areas, but it allowed me to find my route. So I found a particular route that I enjoyed and then furthered my career into that. And I definitely think that the college helped you do that.
Brilliant, thank you. And what kind of support do you think you got at the college?
The support, the lectures that I had were amazing. They were very, very supportive. They were definitely, if you put in the effort, they put the effort into you. They were always there for feedback or advice. If you needed any help, they would stay and like kind of talk you through it. It was never really a problem. If I was stuck or something, they would be able to help. I never felt like I was alone or anything. They were really good.
Brilliant, thank you. And what would you say your proudest moments were during your time at the college?
Um, well, probably when I got like the kind of final weeks was when I was applying to uni and I needed an A to get into uni, and I eventually got the A that I was looking for. I had worked really hard throughout the year to get that, so it's probably my proudest moment was like finally getting the A in the graded unit,
Yeah,
which
brilliant.
allowed me to then progress into what I was wanting to do, which was really nice.
Excellent. Okay, thanks. And what one thing do you think you learned at college that's proved to be really useful in your career?
There's a few different bits. So for this particular course, they talk about the design process a lot. They definitely like put that into my head so much, and that's something that I've took for uni, for my job. They've definitely ingrained that in my head, and it was so important. It's something I still use to this day. Yeah, that was a massive thing that they like taught you. Also just like wee bits and bobs, like they had a lot of advice, just things like getting people to look over your work and asking for feedback constantly. It was a lot of different areas because the lectures as well were very much in the industry. They knew exactly what to expect from it, which made it even more helpful. They were like very knowledgeable of it, so they allowed you a lot of help for it.
Brilliant. That's great. Thanks, Lauren. And can you tell us about what you're doing now and what your role involves?
Yeah, so I'm currently a UX designer at Shoe. So what that job role entails is working closely with the web optimization team. So that includes like analysts and stuff, and they essentially just enhance the website to make sure the user's journey is as easy as possible. It's a lot of like collaborative work with analysts, developers, and it can be really big projects or really small projects, but essentially just making the user's experience a lot more easier than what it could be. So
Great. Sounds brilliant. And do you think that your experience at the college prepared you for the role that you're doing now?
100%, yeah. Because it is, as I mentioned, like it does expose you to a lot of different areas. So even when you're talking to people in the industry, you have a knowledge and you kind of understand where people are coming from. Like, for example, when I'm working with developers, I have a rough knowledge of what they do, which is really useful. also when you were kind of leaving college, they set you up in terms of like a portfolio and done things like interviews, which allowed you to prepare. Like obviously when you're leaving college, it can be really nerve-wracking to have your first interview and stuff, and they really did prepare you for that. So yeah, they were very really helpful.
Brilliant, excellent. Would you recommend, so the course is now called Digital Design Graphics, would you recommend that course to other people who are thinking of studying at City of Glasgow College?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anyone that I speak really highly off of it. It's definitely, I feel like it's such a large factor into where I've got to today, and it's 100% like, even just if you want to go to uni, it's a good stepping stone, or if you want to just know a little bit more about anything about design, it's such a good course to do. So I definitely recommend it to anyone really that's interested in that area.
Brilliant, thanks Lauren. Thank you so much for your time today. Is there anything else you want to add, or have we covered everything?
No, I think we've covered everything, but it's, yeah, as I said, definitely a good course and would definitely recommend to people.
Thank you so much, Lauren, for your time. That's brilliant.
No problem.